Admiral Taman stood on the bridge of his massive ship, looking at the screens that showed Earth getting bigger and bigger. The blue planet looked just like the old pictures his grandmother had shown him when he was a child, but he knew it was not the same Earth his people had fled from 3,000 years ago. "Sir, all fleet commanders are ready," said Captain Sora, walking up to him with a data pad in her hands. 10 million ships are in position. 12 billion people are waiting for your orders." Taman nodded slowly. He was 45 years old, but he felt much older. The weight of 3,000 years of planning, building, and preparing rested on his shoulders. Every human alive today was here because of one simple promise. They would return to Earth and make the aliens pay for what they did. He touched the small metal pendant around his neck. Inside was a piece of Earth soil that his great-great-grandmother had carried when she escaped on one of the last ships. She had made him promise to bring it home someday. "Tell me the story again, Sora," he said quietly. Captain Sora knew which story he meant. Every human child learned it before they could even walk properly. 3,000 years ago, Earth was home to 8 billion humans. We had just started to live on Mars and had built a few space stations. We thought we were becoming a great space-traveling people. Then the Vorthak came. She looked at the screen showing Earth, her voice getting harder. The Vorthak were big reptile creatures who ruled a huge empire across the galaxy. They came to Earth and told our leaders that humans had to become their slaves. When Earth said no, the Vorthak attacked with their massive ships. They burned our cities from space. They cracked the continents. They boiled the oceans. Taman closed his eyes. He had seen the videos that the escape ships had recorded, entire cities disappearing in balls of fire, mountains melting, oceans turning to steam. Dr. Hye-jin, the smartest scientist on Earth, had been building secret ships in case something bad happened. When the Vorthak attacked, she managed to get 50,000 people onto those ships. 50,000 people out of 8 billion. Everyone else died. "And what did we promise?" Taman asked. "We promised we would come back. We promised we would make them pay. We promised we would take Earth back and make sure this never happened to anyone else again." The door to the bridge opened and Dr. Min-ho walked in. He was the great-grandson of Dr. Hye-jin, and he had spent his whole life building weapons that could destroy the Vorthak. His hands were always stained with chemicals from his work. "Admiral, the new weapons are ready," Min-ho said. "The quantum tunneling cannons can go through any shield. The plasma burners are hot enough to melt entire ships. And the ghost technology, well, the Vorthak have never seen anything like it." Taman smiled for the first time in months. The ghost technology was their secret weapon. Human ships could now move in and out of normal space, appearing and disappearing like spirits. No alien race had ever figured out how to do this. "How many Vorthak ships are around Earth?" he asked. "About 50,000, answered Commander Insu, the intelligence officer. "They think they rule the galaxy. They have been the strongest power for 3,000 years. They have no idea we even exist anymore," Sora laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "They think they killed all humans. They probably forgot we ever lived." "Good," said Taman. "Fear is a better weapon when it comes as a surprise." He walked to the big window at the front of the bridge. Outside, he could see thousands and thousands of human ships. Each one was bigger and more powerful than anything the Vorthak had ever built. Each one carried weapons that could destroy entire fleets. But it was not just about having better weapons. Humans had changed in 3,000 years. They had to change to survive. After the escape from Earth, the 50,000 survivors had split into many groups. Some went to cold planets and learned to live in ice and snow. Others went to hot desert worlds and became stronger under burning suns. Some lived in space stations and learned to fight in zero gravity. Others found planets with heavy gravity and became incredibly strong. But all of them remembered Earth. All of them remembered the promise. The children born in space grew up hearing stories about blue skies and green grass and animals that lived wild and free. They grew up angry about what they had lost. They grew up determined to take it back. Human scientists studied every piece of alien technology they could find. They made friends with other species that the Vorthak had hurt. They learned secrets that had been hidden for millions of years. Human soldiers trained every day for 3,000 years. They made their bodies stronger with machines and chemicals. They learned to fight in ways that no alien could imagine. They became the best warriors in the galaxy. And human leaders like Taimin planned and waited and built fleets that could crush any enemy. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we are getting signals from the Vorthak ships around Earth. They want to know who we are." "Let them wonder for a few more minutes," Taman said. Sora, send a message to all our ships. Tell them that in 1 hour we will tell the Vorthak who we are. Tell them that in 1 hour we start taking our home back. Captain Sora sent the message across the huge human fleet. In ship after ship, billions of humans got ready for the fight they had been waiting for their whole lives. Taman looked at Earth one more time. Somewhere down there, in the cities the Vorthak had built on top of human graves, alien creatures were living comfortable lives. They had no idea that death was coming for them from space. The Vorthak thought they had destroyed humanity 3,000 years ago. They thought humans were just another weak species that could be easily crushed. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Admiral, said Dr. Minho, the weapons are charged and ready. Ships report ready for battle, added. Sora, intelligence confirms 50,000 Vorthak. Ships around Earth, said Insu. They have started moving toward us, but they are moving slowly. They do not think we are a real threat. Taman smiled again. It was a cold, dangerous smile. 3,000 years ago, they destroyed our world and thought they destroyed us, he said. Today we destroy them and take our world back. Today we keep the promise our ancestors made. He turned to face his officers. These were the best humans in the galaxy. These were the people who would help him avenge Earth. Signal the fleet, he ordered. All ships prepare for battle. We are going home. Outside the big windows, 10 million human ships began to move toward Earth. The largest fleet in galactic history was about to begin the largest battle in galactic history. And somewhere on Earth, Vorthak sensors were just starting to realize that these unknown ships were not here to talk. They were here to take back what had been stolen from them 3,000 years ago. Commander Dongwu checked his weapons one last time before stepping into the teleporter. His team was ready for the most dangerous mission any human had attempted in 3,000 years. They were going to sneak onto Earth itself. Remember, he said to his 5 team members, we are not here to fight today. We are here to see what the Vorthak have done to our world. We need information for the Admiral. Ji-Hai, the team's warrior, touched the energy sword at her side. She was 2 meters tall and stronger than 10 normal humans thanks to genetic improvements. If I see them hurting our planet, I might forget about the mission, she said. Control yourself, said Hyun-Soo, the technology expert. He was smaller than the others, but his brain had been enhanced with computer chips that made him incredibly smart. We need to stay hidden and gather data. Fighting comes later. The teleporter activated and the 6 humans disappeared from their ship. A second later, they appeared in a forest on Earth's surface, but it was not like any Earth forest from the old pictures. The trees were black and twisted. The ground was covered with purple moss that glowed softly in the dark. Strange creatures that looked like a mix between birds and reptiles flew between the branches. This was what 3,000 years of Vorthak rule had done to Earth's nature. The air is safe to breathe, reported Hyun-Soo, checking his instruments. But it has chemicals in it that would have been poison to the original humans. Good thing we are not original humans anymore, said Dongwu. The escape fleet had changed human biology over the centuries. They could now breathe many different kinds of air and eat many different kinds of food. They had to, in order to survive on alien worlds. The team moved carefully through the strange forest. After an hour of walking, they reached the edge and saw something that made them all stop in shock. Where the human city of Seoul had once stood, there was now a massive Vorthak city. But it was not built next to the ruins of the human city. It was built on top of them, using human buildings as foundations. Ji-Hai clenched her fists so hard that her knuckles made cracking sounds. They built their homes on our graves, she whispered. The Vorthak city was huge with tall spires that reached into the clouds. Millions of the reptile aliens moved through the streets in vehicles that floated above the ground. The buildings were made of a green crystal that the Vorthak loved but hurt human eyes to look at. Look there, said Hyun-Soo, pointing to the center of the city. That big building. It has human symbols on it. Dongwu used his enhanced eyes to zoom in on the building. What he saw made his blood turn cold. It was a museum, and the sign above the door said, Museum of Conquered Species in the Vorthak language. We need to get inside that building, he said. It took them 6 hours to sneak through the Vorthak city. The aliens were confident and relaxed. Why would they worry about humans? They had killed all the humans 3,000 years ago. Using Hyun-Soo's technology, they made themselves invisible to Vorthak sensors and slipped into the museum. What they found inside would fuel human anger for generations to come. The first room was full of human artifacts. Pieces of human art, human clothes, human tools, all displayed like trophies. Signs in Vorthak writing explained how these items had belonged to the primitive humans who had been removed from Earth. But it got worse. In the second room, they found human skeletons in glass cases. The signs called them examples of the weak human species that once infected this world. In the third room, they found something that made even the calm Dong-Wu lose his temper. It was a display showing the attack on Earth 3,000 years ago, but the Vorthak version of the story said that humans had attacked first, and the Vorthak had only defended themselves. "They are telling lies about us," said team member Sang-ho, his voice shaking with rage. "They are saying we were the bad ones." "Take pictures of everything," ordered Dong-Wu. "The Admiral needs to see this. The whole galaxy needs to see this." But the worst discovery was in the basement of the museum. There they found that the Vorthak had built their spawning pools where human cemeteries used to be. Vorthak eggs were being hatched in the same soil where humans had buried their dead for thousands of years. Ji-Hai could not control herself anymore. She drew her energy sword and was about to attack the nearest Vorthak when Dong-Wu grabbed her arm. "Not yet," he said. "Soon, but not yet. We need to finish the mission first." They took thousands of pictures and recorded hours of video. They documented every crime the Vorthak had committed against human memory. Then they teleported back to their ship. Meanwhile, high above Earth, Admiral Tae-min was receiving an urgent message from the Vorthak fleet. The image of a huge reptile creature appeared on his screen. This was Admiral Gorthrex, commander of the Vorthak forces around Earth. He was 3 meters tall with green scales and yellow eyes that showed no mercy. "Unknown ships," Gorthrex said in the Vorthak language. "You have entered Vorthak space without permission. Identify yourselves immediately or be destroyed." Admiral Tae-min smiled. He had learned to speak Vorthak perfectly during his years of preparation. It was important to speak to your enemies in their own language when you told them they were going to die. "Admiral Gorthrex," Tae-min replied in perfect Vorthak. "My name is Admiral Tae-min of the Human Reclamation Fleet. You destroyed our home 3,000 years ago. You thought you destroyed us. You were wrong." The expression on Gorthrex's face was worth all the years of planning. First confusion, then disbelief, then fear as sensors told him how many human ships were surrounding Earth. "Impossible," Gorthrex said. "The humans are extinct. We destroyed them completely." "You destroyed our world," Tae-min said, his voice getting colder. "But some of us escaped. We have spent 3,000 years getting stronger. We have spent 3,000 years building weapons. We have spent 3,000 years waiting to come home." Captain Sora stepped up beside Tae-min. She had prepared her own message for this moment. "This is Captain Sora of the Human Space Navy," she said, broadcasting on all frequencies so every Vorthak in the system could hear. "You are occupying our world illegally. You have built your cities on our graves. You have turned our sacred places into your spawning grounds." She paused, letting her words sink in. "You have exactly 1 hour to evacuate our planet. Take your ships, take your people, and leave. After 1 hour, we will take Earth back by force. Any Vorthak remaining in this system will be considered an enemy and will be destroyed." Admiral Gorthrex laughed, a harsh sound that hurt human ears. "You think your few thousand ships can defeat the mighty Vorthak Empire? We have 50,000 ships here. We have ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. We will crush you like we crushed your pathetic ancestors." "Few thousand?" asked Tae-min. He nodded to his communications officer. Across the space around Earth, 10 million human ships decloaked at the same time. They had been hidden using technology the Vorthak had never seen before. The space around Earth, which had looked empty minutes before, was now filled with more ships than had ever been gathered in one place in galactic history. The silence from the Vorthak fleet lasted for almost a full minute. 50,000 ships, said Admiral Tae-min. "We have 10 million. You have ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. We have spent 3,000 years preparing to destroy you." He leaned forward, looking directly into Gorthrex's terrified eyes. "You have 58 minutes to leave our world. After that, we start killing every Vorthak we can find." The transmission ended. Admiral Gorthrex was left staring at a blank screen, trying to understand how the extinct humans had become the largest military force in galactic history. He made the decision that sealed his fate and the fate of his entire species. Instead of evacuating, he ordered his ships to attack. It was the last order he would ever give. The first Vorthak plasma cannon fired at exactly 1423 Earth time. The bright green beam shot across space toward the human flagship, confident it would destroy the enemy command ship in one hit. The beam passed harmlessly through the ship as if it was not there. Ghost mode activated on all vessels, reported Captain Sora. They cannot touch us, but we can touch them. Admiral Taman watched as 50,000 Vorthak ships opened fire on his fleet. Thousands of energy beams, missiles, and plasma bursts filled the space around Earth. All of them passed through the human ships like they were shooting at shadows. Dr. Minho, Taman said calmly, show them what 3,000 years of human science can do. On his ship's laboratory deck, Dr. Minho pressed a single button. Across the human fleet, weapons that the galaxy had never seen before came online. The first weapons to fire were the quantum tunneling cannons. These weapons did not shoot energy or bullets. Instead, they created tiny holes in space itself. The holes appeared inside Vorthak ships, bypassing their shields completely, and then exploded. 100 Vorthak ships simply disappeared in the first second. No explosion, no fire, no wreckage. They were just gone, turned into atoms scattered across space. Impossible, whispered Admiral Gorthrex from his command ship. Nothing can go through our shields. Plasma burners fire, ordered Captain Sora. The plasma burners were Dr. Minho's favorite invention. They created beams of energy that were as hot as the core of a star. When they hit a Vorthak ship, the entire vessel melted, like ice in a furnace. Another 500 Vorthak ships became clouds of glowing metal, vapor, but the weapon that really terrified the Vorthak was what humans called the reality. Ripper. These weapons could tear holes in the fabric of space and time itself. When a reality ripper hit a Vorthak ship, the ship would age 10,000 years in 1 second. Turning to dust, all ships, said Admiral Taman, his voice carrying across the human fleet. Remember what they did to Earth. Remember what they did to our people. Show no mercy. The battle was not really a battle. It was an execution. The Vorthak had been the strongest military power in the galaxy for 3,000 years. Their ships were huge and powerful. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their shields could stop any known weapon, but they had never fought humans before. Human ships moved through space like ghosts, appearing and disappearing at will. They fired weapons that ignored shields and armor. They used tactics that no alien race had ever imagined. Worse than that, the humans fought with a fury that the Vorthak could not understand. Every human in the fleet had grown up hearing stories about Earth's destruction. Every human had spent their entire life preparing for this moment of revenge. Commander Dongwu led a squadron of fighter ships through the Vorthak fleet. His ship was only 50 meters long, but it moved faster than anything the Vorthak had ever seen. He could phase in and out of normal space, appearing inside Vorthak shield bubbles to fire his weapons at point-blank range. This is for Seoul, he shouted as his quantum torpedoes turned a massive Vorthak battleship into expanding gas. This is for Tokyo, yelled pilot Kyung-suk as she destroyed 3 Vorthak cruisers with a single plasma burst. This is for New York, screamed fighter pilot Jun-ho as he rammed his ship into a Vorthak command vessel, his experimental shields allowing him to survive the impact while the enemy ship exploded. On the ground, Major Jae-sung led the human landing forces. His soldiers were not like the humans who had lived on Earth 3,000 years ago. Genetic engineering had made them stronger, faster, and tougher. Cybernetic implants gave them perfect aim and lightning-fast reflexes. Chemical treatments made them able to survive in any environment. They were the perfect soldiers, and they had been bred for one purpose, to destroy the Vorthak. Teams Alpha through Omega. Deploy, ordered Jae-sung as transport ships carried his forces down to Earth's surface. The Vorthak ground defenses tried to stop them. Energy shields, automated gun turrets, and robot guards protected every major city. None of it mattered. Human soldiers moved through Vorthak defenses like water flowing around rocks. They used personal teleporters to appear behind enemy lines. They used cloaking fields to become invisible. They used weapons that could punch through any armor. But most importantly, they used pure human rage. Sergeant Yanwu found himself in the Museum of Conquered Species that Commander Dongwu's team had discovered. When he saw the human skeletons displayed like trophies, he lost all control. Burn it all, he ordered his squad. Burn every trace of their lies. The museum became an inferno. 3,000 years of Vorthak propaganda about the evil humans went up in flames. Lieutenant Mi Young led her team to the spawning pools built on top of human graves. She did not hesitate for even a second. Plasma charges, maximum setting, she commanded. If they want to build their nurseries on our ancestors' bones, they can do it in hell. The explosions could be seen from orbit. In space, the Vorthak fleet was dying ship by ship. Admiral Gorthrex tried every tactic he knew, but nothing worked against the humans. When he ordered his ships to retreat, the humans followed them and destroyed them. When he tried to call for reinforcements from other Vorthak systems, human ships jammed all communications. When he attempted to ram his remaining ships into the human fleet, the human ships simply became intangible and let the Vorthak ships pass through them harmlessly. How? Gorthrex asked his science officer. How did the humans become so powerful? His science officer, a Vorthak named Kethvor, was studying the scanner readings with growing terror. Admiral, Kethvor said, his voice shaking, their ships are using technologies we have never seen before. They can exist in multiple dimensions at once. Their weapons manipulate space and time. Their shields are made of controlled black holes. That is impossible. No species in the galaxy has such technology. The humans do, sir. They have had 3,000 years to develop it. While we were ruling the galaxy and becoming soft, they were hiding in the darkness and becoming stronger. Admiral Gorthrex looked at his tactical display. Of his 50,000 ships, only 5,000 remained. The humans had not lost a single vessel. Send a surrender signal, he ordered. Sir, asked his communications officer. You heard me. Send a surrender signal. Maybe they will accept our surrender and let us live. The surrender signal was transmitted on all frequencies. Every human ship received it. Admiral Tayman's response was broadcast back to every surviving Vorthak vessel. There will be no surrender. There will be no mercy. There will be no prisoners. You destroyed our world and tried to destroy our species. Today we return the favor. The last Vorthak ship in Earth's system was destroyed 17 minutes later. Admiral Gorthrex's command vessel lasted the longest, but even its massive shields and thick armor could not stop human weapons that attacked from inside the ship itself. As his ship began to explode around him, Admiral Gorthrex sent one final message to the Vorthak homeworlds. The humans have returned. They are not the weak species we destroyed. They have become something terrible. Run, hide, pray to whatever gods you believe in. The humans are coming for all of us. The message was cut off as quantum fire consumed his ship. Admiral Taymin stood on his bridge, watching the last pieces of Vorthak wreckage burn in Earth's atmosphere. The space around his homeworld was clear of enemies for the first time in 3,000 years. Earth is ours again, said Captain Sora. Earth is only the beginning, replied Admiral Taymin. Send a message to all fleet commanders. We have 427 Vorthak worlds to visit. We have 15 billion Vorthak lives to end. We have a species to extinct. He looked at Earth, beautiful and blue below them, scarred but not broken by 3 millennia of alien occupation. Our ancestors promised we would come home, he said. Now we promise something else. We promise that what happened to Earth will never happen to anyone else ever again. The human fleet began to move. Earth was saved, but the war was just beginning. Dr. Sujin stood in what had once been the center of London, watching massive machines work to heal Earth's wounded atmosphere. The air was thick with dust and chemicals from 3,000 years of Vorthak industry, but her terraforming equipment was changing it back to what humans could breathe. How long will it take? Asked Admiral Taymin, who had come down to the surface to see the restoration work himself. 2 years for the air, Sujin replied, checking her instruments. 5 years for the oceans. 10 years to bring back the forests and grasslands. We saved genetic samples of every Earth species before the Exodus. We can bring them all back. She pointed to a nearby field where robotic planters were placing seeds in specially prepared soil. In 6 months there will be grass here. In 2 years, oak trees. In 5 years this will look like the England our ancestors knew. But even as Earth began to heal, Admiral Taymin was planning something much larger. Commander Insu had brought him intelligence that made his blood run cold. How many worlds? Taymin asked. 427 Vorthak colonies, Insu replied. 15 billion Vorthak citizens. And sir, they have been busy during the 3,000 years since they destroyed Earth. Insu activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Red dots marked Vorthak worlds, and there were hundreds of them. They have enslaved 43 other species, Insu continued. The Kalari people, who are artists and philosophers. The Zephyrians, who are natural scientists. The Morvik, who are engineers. All of them living under Vorthak rule, forced to work in mines and factories. Admiral Taymin studied the map carefully. Each red dot represented millions of Vorthak, who had lived comfortable lives while humans suffered in exile. Each red dot was a world that had benefited from Earth's destruction. What do the other alien species think of us? He asked. They are terrified, Insu admitted. Word has spread about what we did to the Vorthak fleet at Earth. Some species think we are worse than the Vorthak. Others think we are their salvation. Captain Sora joined them, carrying reports from the other human fleets that had spread across the galaxy. Admiral Jun Seo has reached the Vorthak mining worlds in the Outer Rim, she said. 12 planets, all stripped of resources. He reports that the Vorthak used enslaved aliens to do the dangerous work while they lived in luxury. What did he do? Asked Taymin. He gave the enslaved workers transport ships and told them they were free. Then he turned the mining equipment into weapons and destroyed every Vorthak settlement on all 12 worlds. Sora pulled up another report. Admiral Minjung reached the Vorthak agricultural sector. 24 worlds where they grow food using slave labor. She freed the slaves and dealt with the Vorthak. Admiral Taymin understood what dealt with meant. His fleet commanders had clear orders. No Vorthak were to be left alive anywhere in the galaxy. Any resistance? He asked. The Vorthak are trying to organize a defense, Insu reported, but they are panicking. They never expected to face an enemy like us. Their ships are scattered across hundreds of worlds. Their military commanders do not know how to fight an enemy that can appear anywhere without warning. Dr. Minho approached their group, his hands still stained with chemicals from his laboratory work. Admiral, the new weapons are ready for mass production. Every ship in our fleet will soon have reality rippers and quantum tunnelers. No Vorthak ship in the galaxy will be able to stand against us. But Taymin was thinking about more than just weapons. What about the enslaved species? What do we do with them after we free them? Captain Sora had been thinking about this too. Some of them want to fight alongside us. The Kalari especially. The Vorthak destroyed their homeworld 200 years ago. They want revenge almost as much as we do. Let them join us, Taymin decided. But make it clear that this is a human war. We will not put other species at risk for our vengeance. The holographic display changed to show the current positions of human fleets across the galaxy. Thousands of ships were moving toward Vorthak worlds, carrying soldiers and weapons that no alien race had ever imagined. Status report from all fleets, ordered Taymin. The reports came in one by one. Admiral Kyung-ho's fleet had reached the Vorthak pleasure worlds, where the wealthy reptiles went to vacation. The planets were beautiful, with crystal cities and artificial beaches. They had all been turned to ash. Admiral Hai-Young's ships had found the Vorthak research stations where alien prisoners were used for medical experiments. The researchers had been given a taste of their own medicine before the stations were destroyed. Admiral Dongmin had attacked the Mir, Vorthak military academies where young reptiles learned to conquer other worlds. The academies no longer existed, but it was the report from Admiral Sang-woo that really caught Taymin's attention. Sir, Sang-woo's voice came through the communication system. I have reached the Vorthak homeworld system. There are 10 billion Vorthak here, including their government and military leadership. They are begging for negotiations. Negotiations? Taymin almost laughed. What do they want to negotiate? They are offering to return Earth to us and pay tribute for 1,000 years. They promise to free all their slaves and never attack another species. They are offering to give us half their territory. Admiral Taymin considered this for exactly 3 seconds. Tell them that 3,000 years ago, we tried to negotiate. We offered to share the galaxy peacefully. Their answer was to burn our world and kill our people. Today our answer is the same as theirs was then. Sir? Asked Sang-woo. Kill them all. Every last one. Start with their government, then their military, then their cities. Leave no Vorthak alive on their homeworld. Understood, sir. The communication ended. Captain Sora looked at her admiral with concern. Sir, is it right to kill their entire species? Even their children? Taymin turned to look at her. His eyes were hard as steel. Sora, do you know what the Vorthak did to human children 3,000 years ago? They killed them, sir. They did worse than kill them. They used them for target practice. They fed them to their pets. They turned human children into entertainment for their soldiers. He pointed to the holographic display showing Earth. Every human city had parks where children played, schools where they learned, hospitals where they were cared for when they were sick. The Vorthak burned all of it. Captain Sora was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. You are right, sir. They showed no mercy to our children. We should show no mercy to theirs, exactly. A species that can commit genocide against children does not deserve to exist. Reports continued to come in from across the galaxy. Vorthak world after Vorthak world fell to human attacks. The reptiles tried to surrender, tried to hide, tried to run to distant systems. Nothing worked. Human ships could travel faster than any Vorthak vessel. Human weapons could destroy any Vorthak defense. Human soldiers could fight in any environment. Most importantly, humans had something the Vorthak did not understand. The fury of a people who had lost everything and spent 3,000 years planning their revenge. On Earth, Dr. Sujin watched the first Earth birds fly through the cleaned skies. They were only artificial birds created from genetic samples, but they were a start. It is strange, she said to Dr. Kyung-ho, who was working to restore Earth's oceans. We are bringing life back to our world while destroying it on hundreds of others. The Vorthak made their choice 3,000 years ago, Kyung-ho replied. We are simply making sure they live with the consequences. Or in their case, die with them. Above them, Admiral Taemin received the message he had been waiting for. Sir, reported Commander Insu, Admiral Sang-woo has completed his mission. The Vorthak homeworld is uninhabitable. All major cities destroyed, all military installations eliminated, all government facilities reduced to rubble. No Vorthak life signs detected anywhere on the planet. Excellent. What about the other homeworld systems? All 11 Vorthak core worlds have been cleansed. Their leadership is gone. Their military is broken. Their government no longer exists. Admiral Taemin nodded with satisfaction. And the outer colonies? 316 worlds have been eliminated so far. 111 remaining. Our fleets report minimal resistance. Most Vorthak are surrendering immediately, but surrender is not being accepted. Good. How long until we finish? 6 months, sir. Maybe less. 6 months to end a species that had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. 6 months to make sure that what happened to Earth never happened to anyone else. Admiral Taemin looked up at the stars, where his fleets were carrying out the largest military campaign in galactic history. Soon every Vorthak world would be silent. Soon the galaxy would be safe from the species that had destroyed Earth. Soon the promise made by 50,000 human refugees would be completely fulfilled. Admiral Taemin stood in the ruins of what had once been the Vorthak Imperial Palace. The massive building had been destroyed by human weapons 6 months ago, but he had ordered his soldiers to save one small room, the Vorthak Emperor's personal chamber, where the creature who had ordered Earth's destruction had lived in luxury for 3,000 years. In the center of the room, chained to a chair made of human bones, sat the last Vorthak in the galaxy. Former Emperor Zethgul was over 3,000 years old. Advanced Vorthak medicine had kept him alive since the day he had ordered the attack on Earth. His scales were now gray with age, and his yellow eyes were filled with terror. You remember me, do you not? Admiral Taemin asked in the Vorthak language. I am Admiral Taemin, descendant of the humans you tried to exterminate. Zethgul tried to speak, but his voice was weak. Please, a mercy. We surrender. Mercy? Taemin laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Your species never learned that word. When human leaders begged for mercy 3,000 years ago, what did you tell them? The old Vorthak Emperor closed his eyes. He remembered. He had been young then, eager to prove himself by conquering new worlds. The humans had seemed so weak, so easy to destroy. You told our leaders that weak species deserved to die, Taemin continued. You said that the strong had the right to take whatever they wanted from the weak. You said that mercy was for cowards. Taemin walked around the chair, looking at the creature who had destroyed his people's homeworld. Do you know what happened to your species, Zethgul? Do you know what we did to your empire? The Emperor's voice was barely a whisper. You killed them all. Every single one. 427 worlds. 15 billion Vorthak. Men, women, children, soldiers, civilians, leaders, farmers. Every last member of your species except you. Taemin stopped in front of the chair. Do you know why I kept you alive? Zethgul shook his head. Because I wanted you to know that your entire species died because of what you did to Earth. I wanted you to understand that every Vorthak who ever lived after you is dead because of your decision to attack us." The old emperor began to cry. "We did not know. We did not know you would become so strong. You did not care if we would become strong. You thought you had killed all of us. You thought there would be no consequences for your actions." Admiral Taman drew his sidearm, a small weapon that could disintegrate matter at the molecular level. 3,000 years ago, you destroyed our world believing you had eliminated our species. Today we have eliminated yours. Your empire is ash. Your people are extinct. Your name will be forgotten. He aimed the weapon at the last Vorthak in the galaxy. "Any final words?" Zethgul looked up at him with his dying eyes. "Why? Why did you not just take your planet back? Why did you have to kill everyone?" Admiral Taman's answer was simple and final. "Because you taught us that mercy is for cowards." The weapon fired once. The last Vorthak in the galaxy became dust. Admiral Taman walked out of the ruined palace and up to his ship. Captain Sora was waiting for him on the bridge, along with representatives from dozens of alien species that the Vorthak had enslaved. "It is done," he announced. "The Vorthak species is extinct. Their empire no longer exists." The alien representatives looked at him with expressions of fear, gratitude, and confusion. Kalamir, a representative of the artistic Kalari people, spoke first. "Admiral Taman, what will you do now? Will humans take the place of the Vorthak as rulers of the galaxy?" Admiral Taman looked at the assembled aliens. Some of them had been slaves for hundreds of years. Others had seen their homeworlds destroyed. All of them had suffered under Vorthak rule. "No," he said firmly. "Humans did not fight this war to build an empire. We fought to make sure that what happened to Earth never happens to anyone else." He activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Where red dots had once marked Vorthak worlds, there were now empty spaces. "Every species in this galaxy is now free to govern itself. Humans will not rule over you. We will not demand tribute or slaves or territory." The alien representatives looked surprised. Most conquering species wanted to take control of the worlds they had freed. "But," Admiral Taman continued, "we will be watching. If any species tries to build an empire like the Vorthak did, if anyone tries to enslave or destroy other worlds, humans will return. And we will do to them what we did to the Vorthak." Captain Sora stepped forward. She had been chosen to be Earth's first ambassador to the free galaxy. "The Human Federation offers friendship and trade to any peaceful species," she announced. "We will share our medical technology to heal the damage the Vorthak caused. We will share our terraforming knowledge to restore destroyed worlds. We will share our defensive weapons to protect weak species from strong ones. But," she added, her voice becoming stern, "we will never again allow genocide to happen in this galaxy. The Vorthak taught us that evil must be completely destroyed, not just defeated. Any species that tries to repeat their crimes will learn the same lesson they did." Dr. Minho had been working on peaceful uses for the weapons that had destroyed the Vorthak Empire. "Our quantum tunneling technology can move supplies instantly between worlds," he explained. "Our plasma generators can provide unlimited clean energy. Our reality manipulation devices can terraform dead planets in years instead of centuries." The former slaves looked at each other with hope. For the first time in generations, they could return to their homeworlds and rebuild their civilizations. But it was Dr. Sujin who announced the most important news. "Earth's restoration is complete," she said, showing images of the blue planet that now looked exactly as it had 3,000 years ago. Green forests, blue oceans, clean air, and millions of Earth species brought back from genetic storage. She smiled as she showed pictures of children playing in parks that had been built exactly where human children had played before the Vorthak came. "In 10 years, Earth will have a population of 1 billion humans again. In 50 years, we will have restored every city, every monument, every place that was special to our ancestors." Admiral Taman walked to the main view screen and looked at Earth, beautiful and blue below them. His children would grow up there. They would see real trees and breathe real air and swim in real oceans. "Our ancestors made a promise 3,000 years ago," he said to everyone on the bridge. "They promised that humans would return to Earth and make the aliens pay for what they did. Today we have kept that promise." He turned to face the alien representatives. "But we make a new promise now. We promise that the galaxy will never again see the kind of evil that the Vorthak represented. We promise that weak species will be protected from strong ones. We promise that never again will billions of innocent people die. Because one species decides they are superior to all others. Captain Soran nodded. The Human Federation will establish monitoring stations throughout the galaxy. Our ships will patrol trade routes to protect peaceful merchants. Our scientists will help heal worlds damaged by the Vorthak. Our soldiers will respond to any threat against innocent species. The meeting ended with the signing of the Galactic Protection Treaty. Every free species agreed to help defend each other against any future threats. But everyone knew that if a real crisis came, they would look to the humans for protection. As the alien representatives left, Admiral Tae Min remained on the bridge with his closest officers. "Do you think we did the right thing?" asked Captain Sora. "Killing an entire species?" Admiral Tae Min considered the question carefully. The Vorthak had 3,000 years to change their ways. They could have freed their slaves, stopped their conquests, made peace with other species. Instead, they used those years to become even more cruel and destructive. He looked at the empty spaces on the galactic map where Vorthak worlds had once been. Some species cannot be reformed or negotiated with. Some evil is so complete that it can only be ended by destroying it completely. The Vorthak proved that genocide was their answer to any problem. We simply gave them the same answer they gave us. Dr. Minho was already working on his next project. "Admiral, I would like to build memorial worlds. Planets where we preserve the history of every species the Vorthak destroyed. A place where future generations can learn what happens when evil is allowed to grow unchecked." "Approved," said Taemin immediately. The galaxy must never forget what the Vorthak did, and what we had to do to stop them. 6 months later, Admiral Taemin walked through the rebuilt city of Seoul on Earth. Children were playing in parks where Vorthak museums had once displayed human bones as trophies. Families were picnicking where Vorthak spawning pools had once desecrated human graves. The air was clean, the sky was blue, and Earth was home to humans again. He stopped at a memorial that had been built in the center of the city. It was a simple black stone with names carved on it. 50,000 names. Every human who had escaped Earth 3,000 years ago. At the bottom of the memorial were words in both human and galactic standard languages. They promised they would return. They promised they would never forget. They promised they would make it right. Promise kept. Admiral Taemin placed a small earth flower at the base of the memorial. It was a flower that had been extinct for 3,000 years, brought back from genetic samples saved by the original refugees.